Alright, what's going on, guys? Here's the 77 again. A little bit cleaner. I haven't put the cover back on. I haven't gotten a new switch yet for the wipers. Little bit of a problem with the gas tank when I was putting it on. My error. I ended up putting the rubber on the outside and it was supposed to be on the inside. So I didn't fill it up all the way. And it was basically for that specific reason. So I filled it up a little bit on the bottom, jacked it up on that side, brought the gas over here, and it started leaking. It looked like it was leaking through, you know, the pinch weld. I'm like, boy, that doesn't really make any sense. And then when I started thinking about it, I'm like, I bet you that rubber piece is probably supposed to go on the inside. So when I looked at it, it was supposed to go on the inside. So jacked it up on this. Well, I got pumped out as much gas as I could. Got on that side, brought it up, and just swapped them. Put it back together. Put the gas back in. It is perfectly fine. My gas gauge works. Everything is freaking working on this car, so that is awesome. So we got a plus on that one. The only thing I don't know that really works is actually the heat. I don't know if that works. I don't see why it wouldn't, but we still don't know whether or not the heater box is good. So as you can see, I put the hood back on. I think I did that before anyway, so that doesn't matter. I am a little bit worried about the brakes. I don't know whether or not if that's how the brakes are supposed to feel. I really don't know, because to me it doesn't feel right, but I've never driven one of these. I don't know how the brakes are supposed to feel, so I may end up getting a hold of the guy that sold me the rims and see whether or not he can actually, if I can go out there and he can actually test drive this and see whether or not the brakes feel okay to him. Because I think his is an 80, so his has the servo. What else are we going to do? I haven't ordered any other parts or anything like that for it. I was waiting on a couple of things, but one thing I think we will do on this one, because if we do plan on selling this, optics is really everything. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay, and the guy that I got the rims from, he actually made that out of metal. So it actually looks like it comes out as one piece. So what I think we can do is we could probably take it apart, and he said all he did was he used that as a template. So, you know, and we got plenty of metal, so we can screw up as many times as we want, and we can get it right. And what we'll do is we'll throw some blue on it, so it basically goes blue, and so it kind of matches a little bit. Kind of goes with everything. So that's what we're going to do on that one. Oh, it is, I think it's running rich. Because once it runs for a while, it acts like it's going to die, so I had to turn the idle up very, very high, and it's still up high right now. So even if I were to start it right now, it would start right up and the idle would shoot up really, really high, and then it would eventually start bogging down. So I think the fuel pump is a replacement fuel pump for the MGB. I can't remember. I don't think its rating is what the MGB is supposed to be at, so I don't think it's at 2.5. I think it's pumping more than that, because it seems like, you know, as soon as it starts, it sounds fine, it runs fine, you know, the exhaust looks okay, and then a couple minutes later the exhaust starts smoking, and it really does smell like it's running rich. So I think that's the only. I don't think the problem is the choke. I thought for a little bit that the problem might be the choke, but I really do think it's probably the fuel pump, because that is not the original SU fuel pump for this car. And I even tried looking up online to see whether or not anybody was having, you know, problems with that particular fuel pump replacement. And I couldn't find anything. Go figure. So I couldn't find anything on that. So I'm thinking that probably pumps a little bit too much. I think it's a little bit too fast. So what I did was I ended up buying, and I did read a little bit into it a little bit to where, you know, somebody was saying that maybe I did see something, but I didn't see anything recently that basically said that if you're going to put that fuel pump in, that you have to buy a fuel regulator. So I have a fuel regulator on the way. I did not do a fuel pressure test. I probably should. You know, even though it's on the way, it wasn't that expensive. It was like 50 or 60 bucks, and I got the gauge, and the only thing I got to do is go out and buy some fittings. But I could probably still go out and buy a fuel pressure gauge and check and see what the fuel pressure is, but I'm still thinking it's that fuel pump. I don't think it's the choke. Why would it be the choke? Yeah, I mean, we had it apart, we cleaned it, so nothing broke. Well, I mean, except for that spring and that came off of it, but I don't think that's really going to do anything. Yeah, I don't know, it might, but I really think it's pumping too much. I think we're getting too much fuel up there. Because like I said, I mean, if it really was the choke, it wouldn't have to have such a high idle, you know, and it starts up just fine. I mean, it's got everything connected, so starts up just fine. And then after a while it runs, then it starts to bog down. I mean, it sounds freaking really good right there. The other thing that I've ran into, good exhaust, smells great. The other thing that I ran into, I don't know whether or not anybody else has run into this. The light and that outside running light don't work. Okay, easy fix. Let's follow the wires. So I'm following the wires. You got a red and a black, and they're both going into black. So I got this red wire going into this black one, and this connector right here goes to the backup light. The other black wire goes right over here to ground. So if it's hooked up like that, how does it get power? I don't know how it gets power. I've checked everything too, and I know everything works because I checked, I tested it. I had a test light, and I was going through, and I was able to hook this up to where power was going to that, and I was getting power out of it, and power was going to this, even though that didn't work. But I hooked this one up. I hooked the new one up, but the wiring diagram is no help, because this is the one right here, and it's not showing any, it's not showing the side markers or anything like that, or the marker lights or anything like that going into two black wires. This one works, you know, this works. That light works. I don't get it. But that's what I've been working on. But even though I still know that I can actually hook that up to where it would it'll still work and it'll still operate the way that it's supposed to. But that's really strange, because even then I went over to the 74.5 and I looked at that wiring harness. And this wiring harness is doing the same thing. it's got the same thing. So it's over here. It's got two black, the red, which goes to another spot. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm thinking I'm going to run into the same problem with the 74.5. Because I mean, if you look at this one, that one's got two black wires going into two black wires, and there's the red wire it's going in there into the red. I don't get that. Weird. But we'll figure it out. We'll have this thing kicking and going, and I'll probably end up ordering those parts because I still think it's an issue of the fuel pump. It's the PSI is too high. So we'll get that all squared away. So next video, hopefully we'll be taking this thing to the gas station. We'll be able to take this thing for a nice drive. Alright guys, take it easy. Peace.